The sugya we'll speak about today is a fascinating sugya, only loosely related with this week's parsha, but I think it's such a choshev sugya, and it's relevant, extremely relevant, and it's a fascinating sugya. So today we will speak about Tsar Baalei Chayim. And as usually, I will speak about the fundamentals of the sugya, but we will touch upon halacha l'maisa as well. Tsar Baalei Chayim Dioraisa, brought many times in Shas, but the basic source probably is above Messiah Daf Lamed Beis, Tsar Baalei Chayim Dioraisa. But nowhere in Bavli or in Yerushalmi do we find, how do we know that Tsar Baalei Chayim is Dioraisa? What is the source? So you go through the entire Shas, Bavli plus Yerushalmi, you will not find the source. How do we know Tsar Baalei Chayim Dioraisa? The Rishonim and Achronim, what I remember, 13 different sources. 13. Maybe there are more, but the 13 that I remember. So Rabbeinu Peretz and the Ritva brought in Shiurim Mekabetzes, or Messiah Lamed Beis, say Haloch LaMoshe Messinai. That's the easiest way out. If Chazal say it's Menatoid and they don't bring a source and we don't find a clear source, then we could assume Haloch LaMoshe Messinai is Menatoid. And that is the opinion of two great Rishonim, Rabbeinu Peretz and the Ritva, both quoted in Shiurim Mekabetzes. The Rambam and Rabbi Yehuda Chosid bring a source from this week's parsha. So the Rambam and Rabbi Yehuda Chosid were two giants, but they were so different, so different. Rabbi Yehuda Chosid in Sefer Chasidim is Rosh Chasidei Ashkenaz. Rambam Rosh Gedolei Sfarad. They were contemporaries, Bnei Dor Echad, same time, but they were so different. Rabbi Yehuda Chosid, Kol Kuloi Divrei Kabbalah. The Rambam was the greatest Jewish philosopher ever to live. Both bring the same source. This week's parsha, Rambam. Moed Nevuchim, Chelek Gimel, Perek Yud Zayin, Sefer Chasidim, Tov Reish Samach Vav. So this week's parsha we read the story of Bilam. And Bilam rides on his mule, on his donkey. Bilam was a prophet. His mule was an animal. And Bilam is Galui Einayim. But his donkey sees more than he does. And the mule sees the malach. He sees an angel standing on Emaderach. And he tries to escape. And he presses Bilam's leg. And Bilam the prophet doesn't see anything. And he's hitting his mule. And then suddenly, Vayegal Hashem es Einoi Bilam V'yar es malach Hashem nitzav badorach v'char b'shlufa b'yodoi. And the angel is holding his sword. Vayomer elav malach Hashem, al ma hekisu es asoinchos esholosh lagolem. Why did you strike your mule 3 times? So the Rambam and Rabbi Yehuda Chosid say, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends a malach min hashamayim to reprimand Bilam and to say, why are you hitting this animal? That proves that Tsar Baalei Chayim Dioraisa. So anybody listening to my Shiurim on a steady basis knows that many times I speak about the big Yisoid, and I wrote about this many different sources in my Sforim. Rotzoin HaTorah. Besides mitzvahs aseh and mitzvahs lo ta'aseh, a man has a chiyuv to be Mekayim Rotzoin Hashem as it is reflected and expressed b'toiras Hashem. Rashi brings in the beginning of Mishnah Torah and Chumash Devorim that when Bnei Yisrael suddenly became aware that what they are being required to give is Taryag mitzvahs, they were taken aback and they were shocked and they were really scared, and they said, Mi yochal lamoid b'kol. They were used to Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, 7 mitzvahs. Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach ultimately boiled down to one fundamental principle: be a mensch. Be a mensch. Don't kill, don't rob, don't steal, don't lie. Be a mensch. Suddenly they have Taryag mitzvahs, and they say Mi yochal lamoid b'kol. And I say, you can't get away with Taryag. It's far more than Taryag. Many, many more. Because Chayav Odom Lases Ritzoin Ovev Shebeshemayim. The Radbaz writes about Tzar Ba'al Chayim D'Oraisa, ve'em bo lo mitzvahs aseh ve'lo mitzvahs lo ta'aseh. So what is it? If it's not an essa and it's not a lo essa, there are many mitzvahs that are not defined as aseh or lo ta'aseh, but they're Ratzon Hashem. And in my Sforim I explained, how do we know Ratzon Hashem? You cannot guess. It's not your own human moral compass, no. If we would assume that human beings have this universal understanding of what's right and what's wrong, what's Ratzon Hashem, I think in today's day and age that would be the most disturbing assumption. No. Ratzon Hashem is only what we learn from Toras Hashem. How do we know Ratzon Hashem? Mitoch Toras Hashem. Two different ways. Gedolei Rishonim, with their ultimate wisdom and Ruach HaKodesh, understood Tamei HaMitzvahs. So sometimes we learn Ratzon Hashem from Mitzvahs Hashem, from the various different mitzvahs that say Lo Ta'aseh. Sometimes we learn Ratzon Hashem from the stories in the Torah, Lav Davka Mitzvahs. So I need to give you 13 sources. I gave you the first, Aloha Moshe Messina. I gave you the second. Al Mahi Kisus Asrinchus Sholosh Agolim. I have 11 more to go. And some of the sources we learn from Sipurei Dvorim, like the Rambam and the Sefer Hasidim. Al Mohe Kisus Asrinchus Sholosh Agolim. That's not a mitzvah say nor a mitzvah lo ta'aseh. Some of the Rishonim learn Tzar Ba'al Chayim from Aseh or Lo Ta'aseh. So let's continue our journey. Rosh Medabrim, Rashi, Shabbos Kuf Chof Chesed Med Beis, Rashi says, Tzar Ba'al Chayim D'Oraisa, and how do we know that? Ozav Ta'azav Imoi. We have mitzvah to help a person unload his animal. Animals that carry packs on their back. Usually it's the mule or the camel. Some horses I use to carry burdens on their back, but usually it's either a mule or a camel or an elephant in India. We have a mitzvah ozoiv ta'azoiv imoi, and that is from where we learn Tzar Ba'al Chayim, Rashi, Shabbos Kuf Chof Ches. Shitta Mekabetzes Bo Mesiya Lamed Beis quotes the Meiri, Lo Yisachsem Shor B'dishoi. So according to the Meiri, we learn from a Lo Ta'aseh. According to Rashi, we learn from a mitzvah Aseh, Ozav Ta'azav Imoi. According to the Rambam Sefer Hasidim, we learn from a story. Tzad Shoveh Shebem, the common denominator. We know Ratzon Hashem, Metoch Toras Hashem, Metoch Mitzvos Hashem. Source number 5, Sefer HaChinuch Reish Tzadik Daled. Oisa v'yes benoi lo yisashchatu b'yoyim echad. It's too painful, too tragic and too sad to shecht father and a son, mother and a son. Toises and Megillah Daf Chafei brings a similar idea from Rabbi Elazar HaKalior, the great poet, and in another opportunity we will speak who was Rabbi Elazar HaKalior. Number 6 is Shiluach HaKen. Once again, Sefer Chinuch. We will have kama sources from Sefer Chinuch, because Sefer Chinuch deals with each and every mitzvah of the Taryag and trying to explain what's the reasoning, what's the ethical underpinnings of the mitzvah. Sefer Chinuch Tov Kuf Mem Hey explains Shiluach HaKen is the mitzvah of Tzar Ba'al Chayim. You send away the mother shouldn't see, shouldn't be pained when you take away Efroichem or Beitzim. Moire Nevuchim, Chelek Gimel Memches, Ramban ala Torah. Shiluach HaKen, they also explain, it is associated with Tzar Ba'al Chayim. Lo tachrish b'shor v'chamor yachdov. Interesting approach of various different Rishonim. Sefer HaChinuch, Tov Kuf Nun. Ibn Ezra and Balaturim, ala Torah. Two different approaches. Both are based on the Tsar of the Chamor. So Ibn Ezra says, an oxen is more powerful than a mule. and usually moves faster. If you tie them together, the oxen will go faster, the mule goes slower, and both will be pained. And therefore, that's the Isra of Leisachus B'Shor V'Chamo Yachdov. The Baraturim says, the shor is a kosher animal. Malagera. What's malagera in English? I think it chews its cud, if I'm not mistaken. You know, English is not my first language. So, the chamor chews its cud. The chamor doesn't. So the mule looks at his neighbor and he says, this guy is eating all the time. I'm dying from hunger. And what is he eating? He seems to be chewing all the time. So the chamor is pained by working together with his shor. Interesting. So according to three great Rishonim, Baraturim, Ibn Ezra, Sefer Chinuch, this is another mitzvah which is based on the concept of Tsar Baalei Chayim. What would be more natural than the Aveira of Ever Menachai? Sefer Chinuch once again, Tov Nun Bey, says Ever Menachai is Mishum Tsar Baalei Chayim. That's cruel. Cutting off a piece of flesh from a living animal while it's alive, and that is Tsar Baalei Chayim. Tov Nun Aleph. Sefer Chinuch says that Shchita Men Atzaver is to alleviate the pain of the animal because its death will be immediate when you sever the simonim, the windpipe and the vaishit. And therefore, this is also a mitzvah based on Tsar Baalei Chayim. I think I quoted 9 different sources. All these sources are from the Rishonim, the great Rishonim. Some of them from stories, others from mitzvahs asay, and even others from mitzvahs lo ta'aseh. Yom Truan Rosh Hashanah, Maram ben Chaviv, one of the great Achronim living 400 years ago, Rosh Hashanah Chav Zayin, he brings a makor, another source, from last week's parsha. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe to bring water out of the rock, Ve'eshkisu es ha'eda ve'ez bi'iram. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu berachmav uvechasodav gives them water out of the rock for the people and their animals. Yom Trua writes, this might be the source of Tsar Baalei Chayim. Sefer Charedim Perek Yudaled says Tsar Baalei Chayim Diuraisa. It's a Gemara. And it's so obvious, so evident, it's a pella that not everyone says it. Shabbos Kuf Lamed Gimel Zekeli Vanveu Havei Domelo Mahu Rachu Mafatu Rachu Mahu Chanun Afatu Chanun. Can this be the source that Tsar Baalei Chayim Diuraisa? But how do we know that a person needs to be Aracham V'Chanan even on animals? Maybe only on people? Maybe only on Jewish people? Hagoas Chsam Soifer Al Hashas Bova Metzia Lamed Beis, he writes, Tsar Baalei Chayim Diuraisa V'Rachamov Al Kol Ma'asav. But that's a posuk in Tehillim. And this is a big question whether Divrei Kabbalah ke Divrei Torah Damyan. The Lashon of the Gemara is Tsar Baalei Chayim Diuraisa. So the way I see it, the Charedim and the Chsam Sofer are one, not 2 different sources. Well, the Charedim doesn't quote the Chsam Sofer, he was just 200 years older than the Chsam Sofer. Neither does the Chsam Sofer quote the Charedim. But I think they supplement one the other. So the Chsam Sofer says, Varacham Aval Kol Ma'asav, but that's a posuk in Tehillim, it's not Diuraisa. So the Gemara says in Shabbos, and that's the Charedim. Havei domelo, ma'u rachum, ma'fatu rachum. So how do we know Kadosh Baruch Hu has rachamim on animals? V'rachum aval kol ma'asav. So I think that some Sofer and the Charedim are 2 sides of the very same coin. Source number 13 is a very well-known Gemara in Brachos Mem Omid Aleph. We find this Gemara in Suk in Gittin as well. Osar odem shi'itam koidem shi'itan lebehemtoi. And we learn this from Kriyas Shema. And then the Pasuk says, first animals, then human beings. First care for your animals, and then for yourself and your family. She'ilas Yavitz, the great Reb Yankov Emden, Chelak Aleph 7 Zayin, was asked, is this only a behemoth, or would that include a cat? So, in days of yore, people really didn't have pets. to play around with. But they had animals. They used to keep cats to catch the mice. And then they used to have animals in their backyard, sheep and goats for wool and for milk. And so Rabbi Yankov Emden was asked, if you have a cat, do you need to feed the cat before you eat? And he says, why would there be a difference? It's all about Tzar B'al Chaim. So Rabbi Yankov Emden's understanding is that this halacha, once again, is based on Tzar B'al Chaim. Are non-Jews mechuyev in Tzar B'al Chaim? Two great gedolim of the same era, same period, Prima Godim, Or Chaim Tov Samaches and Mishbet Zayzov, and the Buchacha Rav, a contemporary of the Prima Godim. Both wrote a sefer with the same name, Eishel Avram, Hilchos Shabbos Shin Hey. Both assume that a goy is not mechuyev in Tzar B'al Chaim. And to me, it's not so poshut. If the source is Eva Menachai, goyim are mechuyev just as Jews are. Goy is mitzvah and Eva Menachai. It's one of Sheva mitzvahs b'Noach. If the source is this week's parsha, like the Moed Nevuchim and Sefer Hasidim, Madua Kis was a Seinchus a Shorosh Hagolam. Bilam was a prophet. He was anything but Jewish. So if goyim don't have the mitzvah of Tzar B'al Chaim, why would the Malach reprimand Bilam? Madua Kis was a Seinchus a Shorosh Hagolim. So if we learn from Oz of Tazavim, that's a mitzvah Yisrael. Oisav es benoi, Shiluach haken. But if we learn from Eva Menachai or from Bilam, that would include Goyim as well. Even if we learn from mitzvah Saseh Velotas Hashanitnu Yisrael, but bearing in mind that this isn't a mitzvah Saseh or a mitzvah Lotas. It's an ethical value, an ethical principle. So even if we learn it from mitzvahs shel Yisrael, it is very likely that Goyim have this mitzvah as well. Kach nera l'choyre lani yazdaiti. So if Tzar B'al Chaim diuraisa, how do we eat the flesh of animals? Kosher animals. We eat beef, we eat chicken. What's the heter? How do we use animals for work? So today machines do all that stuff. Not many animals, but still, people ride horses, people ride mules, especially children, for the fun of it. So this is a big yesod. Everything that is to the benefit of human beings overrides Tzar B'al Chaim. The right definition wouldn't be overrides. I don't think it's a geder of dechuyo, but rather a geder of hutro. L'ta'elas ha'odam, there is no yisod of Tzar B'al Chaim. And that's a fundamental yisod that we find in all the poskim. Even as a siman hey. In Ramah, I think it's Sif Yudalad that Ramah writes that you are allowed to pluck the feathers of chicken or geese. What was that about? So, in days of yore, they believed that if you pluck the feathers and you tear them out, then the chicken will become fatter and fleshier, and the meat will be better. So the Ramah writes, it is permissible, because it's l'te'elas ha'adam. Avalo oilam nimnoim mishum achzorius. Interesting. It's not an issur. Everything is to the benefit of human beings. There is no issur of Tzar B'al Chaim. But the oilam people refrain from doing that because it's cruel. So on one hand, anything that is to human benefit, there is no issur of Tzar B'al Chaim. Because we do have a mitzvah to say of shchita, and Shabbos and Yom Tov ain't simchele b'bosor. So I totally disagree with many liberals that belong to Tzar B'al Chaim groups, and they are against eating meat. With all the compassion, and we need to have compassion, as we will see in the continuation of today's Shiur. But no one is more compassionate than HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'tzarosai, and we shouldn't dare to be more compassionate than Chachameinu Chazal HaKadoshim. We have a mitzvah of shchita. Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu and Moshe v'Aharon, yes, rode on mules and on camels. So kol shi to'elas ha'odam, there is no Esav Tzav L'chaim. And in Hashkofa, with a philosophical approach, everything in this world was created for a purpose. Nothing is coincidence. And each and every creation needs to fulfill its purpose. Tachlas Abriya is man, because he, above any other creature, has the ability to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kol olam lo nivra elo b'shvil zeh. That's a Gemara in Shabbos Daf Lamed Aleph. And all the other animals and creatures were created for the benefit of man. That is their essence. And therefore, kol shiur te'eres ha'odam, there is no Esav Tzav L'chaim. But we still need to weigh the benefit against the pain we cause this animal. And if the benefit is marginal, then Midas HaRachmanis should have the upper hand. And that is what we learn from the Ramah. The source of the Ramah is Trumas Hadeshen, Siman Kufei. And in the Tshuva of Trumas Hadeshen, we have three examples. Some people cut off the tail of cats and dogs for the sake of beauty. They would ask me, I think it's insane. I think cats and dogs are far more handsome and appealing with their tails. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them tails, why would you think they would look better without tails? I don't get it. But that was the custom in their times. People used to cut off tails of cats and dogs to beautify them. And they used to cut the tongue of parrots. They should be able to talk better. Also seems strange to me, if you cut the tongue of a parrot, he will talk better, maybe. You cut his tongue and he'll start talking. He'll tell you what he thinks about you. So try to be careful. And then they used to pluck the feathers of goose, ducks, and chickens. And regarding all these three minhagim, Trumas Hadeshen says, Ho'olam noihagim lehimona mishum achzorius. And the way I understand this, we need to weigh. Is it that important? Your parrot should talk better, Mishugana? Who says a parrot needs to talk? Parrots in the wild don't talk. So, you want your cat to look better? The cat feels totally comfortable with his tail. If you would ask him, he would say, please leave me my tail. It's part of me. So, might be the te'elas ha'odam, but the minig is, quoted in the Ramah, source Trumas Hadeshen, that's cruelty, that's achzorius. And a yid is not supposed to be an achzor for a marginal benefit. Ezra Mekodesh, once again, Buchot Sharov, in his Perush on Even Ezer Siman Hey, he talks about plucking the feathers. The women are not sure that there's any benefit to it. So why would you cause so much pain and suffering to an animal if you don't even know what the benefit is? And if there is a benefit, it's probably really insignificant. And therefore, there is an Esav Tzav L'chaim. Medical research on animals. Could we use animals? Today, they use guinea pigs. But usually guinea pigs aren't really that much used. They use mice, rats, some other animals for medical research. Is that permissible? Interesting. This question came up by Gedolei HaPoiskim 350 years ago, and the first source we find is Shuvas Yankov Chelek Gimel Sivan Ayin Aleph. And as one could imagine, he says it is permissible. Sometimes these medical experiments are terrible pain and suffering to the animals. We infect them with viruses, with germs. We cause them cancer, and sometimes it's terrible suffering. But the Shuvos Yankov and the Binyan Siyan Chelek Aleph Siman Kuf Ches say this is L'Te'elas Odam, and it's usually, and it actually tops the list of Te'elas, developing medicines and methodology to save the lives of human beings. So liberals would say, what right do you have to cause pain to another creature for your benefit? It's just coincidence that you're smarter than him, that you could hurt him and you could protect yourself. He shouldn't hurt you. But no, we are Anshe Torah, and we believe in Divrei Chazal. It is man that is the Tachlis Abriya and Teferes HaYetzirah. And therefore anything that is to the clear and substantial benefit of man overrides Tzar Balei Chayim. And this brings us to Tshuvas Noida B'Yehuda. Madura Tinyona Yordei Semen Yud. Noida B'Yehuda was asked by a Jew, probably a rich Jew, that wanted to buy a huge estate and a forest on his estate, and he wanted to know, could he go hunting? Is that permissible al pi Torah? I don't think the Noida B'Yehuda exactly knew why this person wants to go hunting, and he assumed, well, he needs to hunt for his food. Usually people didn't hunt for food. Yes, the wolves and the bears and the lions and the tigers hunt for food, but human beings in days of yore, Esav hunted for food, but 200 years ago, people hunted for fun and not for food. But then Noida B'Yehuda analyzes this question, and he says, well, if you're putting your life in danger, that's one problem. But if you need it for your parnasa, mutar. It's mutar. And if you hunt for food, then at the conclusion of the tshuva, the Noida B'Yehuda writes, well, I don't find a reason to answer, but in the Torah, we only find 2 hunters, and none of them should really be a role model for our children. Hunter number 1 was Esav, and hunter number 2 was Nimrod. So the Noida B'Yehuda ultimately writes, look for a more appealing hobby. Maybe instead of going to hunt animals and kill them, say some Tehillim or some Mishnayos, you could have some hobbies which are more Jewish-oriented than hunting animals. But once again, the Noida B'Yehuda writes in this tshuva, if you enjoy it, wouldn't be an issur. However, as I explained from Tunas Hadesh and Aramo, we always should weigh the benefit against Tzar Balei Chayim, the pain, the suffering, the cruelty towards animals. So the Noida B'Yehuda quotes a Tosis in Avodah Zarah Daf Yud Aleph. Kol she'torer Adam, there is no Esav Tzar Balei Chayim. That does not seem to be accurate, because Tosis in Avodah Zarah Daf Yud Aleph, and Tosis deals with a custom that we find in the Gemara Oikran ala Malachim. When a king died, they used to destroy the horse he used to ride on. And Tosis asks, why wouldn't there be an Issur of Tzar Balei Chayim? And Tosis says, Kvoid Malchus. Kvoid Malchus overrides Tzar Balei Chayim. It's not the concept of To'eles ha'adam. However, Piskei Tosis on the spot, usually Piskei Tosis reflects what Tosis says, but this is an exception. The Piskei Tosis writes, because it is to the benefit, there is no Issur of Tzar Balei Chayim. I want to explain Shittas HaTosis, not Piskei Tosis, because Tosis is far more important than Piskei Tosis. L'te'eles ha'adam is only if there is a direct benefit. You're using this animal to the benefit of human beings. In that case, there is no Tzar Balei Chayim, and that would include riding on animals, using animals to carry burdens, using animals to plow, and before people invented tractors and other machines, they used to plow with oxen. That is shimush. That is usage, using animals to your benefit. Even shchita and medical research is shimush. But when you destroy an animal because the animal happened to belong to a king, that is not using this animal. That's a shchosa, that's destroying an animal. And therefore, according to Tosis' opinion, it doesn't fit into the category of To'eles ha'adam. It's not l'to'eles. It's l'chavoid, not l'to'eles. But Kvoid Malchus is doichet Tzar Balei Chayim. Just like Kvoid Malchus is doichet Baltashchus. And we find in Bavli and Yerushalmi, when a great person passed away, sometimes they used to tear and burn garments, precious garments. Kvoid Torah and Kvoid Malchus, but it's a different concept. It's not the concept of Toiles Ha'odam. What I find fascinating is the Gemara in Bava Metzia Lamed Beis. Oy hevelifroik, soina lahatin. So you have two people, and both are standing next to the animals. A guy that you really love needs to take off packages that are on his mule's back. A guy that you don't like at all wants to put parcels of packages on his mule's back. First help your Sinai, and only then help the one you love. You need to fight and overcome your Yetzer Hara, and therefore first help your adversary, and then help your friend. And the Gemara says that Avusa, even though your friend needs packages to be taken off his animal's back and not put them on. So we see that even Ruchnius is l'ta'elas ha'odam, to override tzar balachayim. Fighting your Yetzer would be reason enough to violate the Isser of tzar balachayim, at least for a certain period. And I find this fascinating svara. So, one of the sources we quoted is the Gemara in Brochus, Memom and Aleph. Osalodem shiitam ad shiyachel es behemtoi. And I was asked many times, does this apply to all the animals you have at home? So I quoted the Shilas Yavetz. Shilas Yavetz says cats. So people once upon a time didn't really have cats as a pet, but rather they had the cats to destroy the mice, and then they brought the dogs to destroy the cats, and it's almost like Chadgadio. So the Shilas Yavetz writes, it's Tzar Chaim. Why would there be a difference between a cow and a cat? I don't think so. Lani is daiti ofrani tachas kapas laglav. But this Gemara appears twice in Shas. It's not brought in the Rambam, neither in Shulchan Aruch. It's a pele. Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring this din. And the Rambam brings it in a very interesting context. And what I learned from the Rambam is two big chidush. So when I quote Rishonim and Achronim, I usually use my language, not when I quote the Rambam. Nobody writes more beautifully than the Rambam. And I think it would be ridiculous and would be a chutzpah to quote the Rambam in my words. Let the Rambam speak for himself. So the context in which we find this halacha in Rambam is in Hilchas Avodim, not elsewhere. So in Hilchas Avodim, Perik Tes, halacha ches, it's the very last halacha in Hilchas Avodim. Mutar la'avoid be'eved knani beforach. It's permissible by halachic criteria. V'yafal pi shadin kach, midas chasidus, v'darkei hachachma, shi'ye odem rachaman v'roidev tzedek, v'lo yachbed uloi al avdoi v'lo yitzar lo, v'yachileu v'yashkeu mekol ma'acholoi u'mekol mashkeu. חכמים הראשונים היו מקדימים, היו נותנים לעבד מכל תבשל ותבשל שהיו אוכלים, ומקדימים מזון הבהמס והעבודים על סעודת עצמם. מקדימים מזון הבהמס והעבודים על סעודת עצמם. והרי הוא אומר, כאיני עבודים אל יד אדוניהם, like the slave and the Amma turning to their master, pleading for mercy. So this is the context in which the Rambam writes, Osala Odom, Shiyitem at Sheyachal Behemtoi. He puts together Avodim veBehemois. The way I see it, first of all, we learn from the Rambam, this is not a halachic obligation. It's not a chiyuv, it's a midas chasidus. Midas chasidus v'darkei hachachma. that a person should be merciful on his Eved and on his animal. So I think the essence of this halacha is these animals and these avodim are serving you. You're taking advantage of them. You need to feed them. And before you eat your own, feed those that serve you. Feed those that you're taking advantage of. You're causing them pain for your benefit, so you need to care for them. And therefore, I don't think a person needs to be makbid if he has a parrot or a turtle or an aquarium with fish or even a cat and a dog. I don't think you need to be makbid to feed them before you eat. First of all, their eating habits are quite different than ours, and they don't usually eat 3 times a day. And I think this then, essentially, what I learned from the Rambam is abehemois v'avodim. Those that you work with, those that you take advantage of, those that you cause pain because of your benefit, at least care for them. And this halach is learned from Parashas Kriyas Shema. And this would be miyashav gevaldige kashas. Today we quoted the posuk, Veshkisu was the Eida v'asbiram, the Eida before the animals. So, animals before the Eida. It's a midas chasidus that we learn from Parashas Kriyas Shema, and it is primarily, the way I understand the Rambam, based on avodim vebehemus. So today we discussed בעלי חיים, 13 different sources and various halachic discussions.